welcome to ACP Automation Adventure. I'm really excited about this episode because you guys are the first episode where we have joined forces. We have joined teams, two teams, East Coast versus West Coast. We have Dublin Robotics all the way from Dublin, California. And then we have Calvary Christian Academy, CCA Robotics Club, all the way on my side, East Coast, which is Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I'm all the way in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, you guys, I'd love to just start by Dublin Robotics. If you all can just introduce yourselves, and then we'll move on over to CCA, and you all will introduce yourselves as well.
Hi, thanks, Candace, and giving this opportunity. And we are very interested to participate in this. And not only me, I am the CEO of Dublin Robotics, and then my coach Alex and Derek. They are excited to be part of it, and then talk about their experience, what they undergone last several years. In terms of coaching and then learning things in new technologies, initiatives, ideas, and everything. And also, I like to introduce my high school student Arya, and who has played robotics at least last 7 years. And I like to introduce my middle school students, Yinia and then Yinian, and both of them started very young age from second grade, and so they have they learn, they compete, they traveled quite a lot of different states, and wealth of knowledge they generated over the period. And we are happy to interact with the other robotics team from Florida, and there's Laura and then other teams, and then it's exciting to meet all.
Thank you so much, Sasi. Hi, you guys. Nice to meet the students. All right, let's move to CCA Robotics Club. Laura, if you would love to introduce yourself and your team.
I'm Laura Quinn, and I am the STEM department head, director, and also just sort of a robotics fangirl, if you would. I don't really have sort of like a coaching position. We do have a coach. He can't be with us tonight, but I am a huge supporter of the program, helped initiate the program, and just am so excited to see what these kids can do. I always make sure I get to travel with them because they go to fun and exciting places. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves, maybe give their name, maybe what year you are in school, how long you've been doing robotics, and what you typically do on a team, because a lot of these kids have a lot of skills. So I'll start with Aiden.
All right, well, I'm Aiden. I'm on 77788Y, and I'm kind of the designer and / builder for the team, and I also drive the robot. And
Hi, Aiden.
Yeah, that's me.
Parker?
I'm the leader of 77788H, and I do design and building, and I also drive for the team, and I'm a sophomore.
Nice.
Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I am also part of the Y team, and I keep the notebook, and I just help the team in general. And I'm a senior.
Kristen has great organizational skills and helps us literally run the whole team in a lot of different ways, and supports us that way too.
That's so important. Hi, Kristen. You go, girl.
And Josiah.
Hi, I'm Josiah. I'm a junior, and this is my 4th year at working in robotics at CCA. I'm on team 77788Y, and I'm the main programmer, and I also help building.
Awesome. That sounds so cool.
At Dublin Robotics Club, we offer a state-of-the-art robotics education in a fun-filled learning environment. The coaches are excellent and hands-on. You learn about gear ratio, speed, torque, mechanical advantage, and center of gravity. You can also learn about mechanical, electrical systems, and programming of robots. I come here happy and leave happy. Come check it out for yourself.
Hi, my name is Alex. I am a coach at Dublin Robotics. I've been working in Dublin Robotics for a while, a few years now, and we've had so many students go through our classrooms, over 500 now, and I've had the chance to work personally with many of them. So it's been a great opportunity. I'm a student myself too. I'm a senior at UC Berkeley, and I'm studying business and technology, and I love to bring those concepts to the classroom, to DRC, and coach the kids.
That's awesome. You've got to have a passion to be coaching kids. That's great.
And my next coach is Derek Louis.
Hi, I'm Derek. I'm also a coach here at Dublin Robotics. This will be my second year working here as a coach, and honestly, it's been a great time working with all the students that have been coming in and learning. I'm currently studying mechanical engineering at Calvary, and I'm a third year.
That is awesome. Nice to meet you.
And my high school student Arya Sasikumar.
My name's Arya. I'm currently a junior enrolled in the Corey School here in Dublin, California. I've been doing robotics for pretty long, almost, I think I started in 5th grade, so almost 7 years now. But it's been really great, and then I love coming in, not only just working on my own robot, but then also the nice thing is I get to interact with all these other people and like also teach them everything I've learned over the years. Because my main focus is I'm the driver, builder, and then I'm pretty familiar with programming as well. So it's really good to like share that knowledge with other people too here.
So it doesn't stop. You go home and it's still a party. You have fun, and I love it.
And Yinia.
Hi, I'm India. I'm in 7th grade and I've been doing robotics for 5 years. So I'm an engineering notebook writer, a builder, and a driver, and I really enjoy robotics because of the teamwork and the competitions.
That's so awesome. So just a question, how many competitions have you been in so far?
A lot, because I've been in Vex IQ and Vex EDR, but I haven't gone to any competitions of Vex EDR. Yeah.
Gotcha. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah,
So
I am.
sorry, say that one more time.
Yes, definitely.
There we go. The audio just went in and out. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
And Yinia.
Hi, I'm Inian and I'm in 7th grade. I've been doing Vex Robotics for around 6 years. And I really like driving, and also I'm the driver and builder.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 12.
Wow. So half of your life you've been doing robotics. You've got to love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do. That's good. You got to be passionate about what you do. That's great. Anybody else, Sasi?
That's all. I introduced all my team members. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Hello, everybody. Welcome. All right. We've got the introductions out of the way. Well, maybe I should introduce myself to everyone. Candace, I'm the Career Pathway Development Coordinator for the Association of Controls Professionals. What I specialize in is all of our outreach efforts. And we have a program called A Step in STEM. Automation skills, technology, education, and promotion in STEM. So what we're focused on now is really taking our in-person outreach to more of this digital space where we connect everyone nationwide, and really we just talk about STEM and we spread awareness about all the opportunities in STEM so that students, parents, STEM leaders, educational leaders, and the like, what we like to call our STEM champions, so that everyone can be more educated and aware of these opportunities. So ACP, my organization, we give out scholarships. We are partners with technical and community colleges across the nation. Some of our partners are the Siemens Foundation, National Science Foundation, the Best Center, and really you guys now, right? We're all partners. We're collaborating on a project and it is awesome. So that's enough. I don't like talking. I want to hear about what you guys have to say. So yeah, let's get started. Um, Dublin Robotics. I'd love for you, Sasi, if you can just describe your Dublin Robotics mission in just a few sentences.
Okay. So Dublin Robotics mission is to, our goal is simple, to create learning success stories one student at a time. So that is our main mission, and we have been trying our best through our coaches and our actions and then teaching. So last 6 years in California, we are continuing to educate kids in that recent and developing technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence, automations, etc.
Awesome. And what about you, Laura, over there with CCA Robotics Club?
Hello, my name is Russell Roshan, and I'm the coach of the Calvary Christian Academy robotics team. Here at CCA, we strive for excellence when it comes to designing, building, programming, and the performance of our robots. The Cyber Eagles meet each and every week to ensure our bots are competition ready. Each robotics team member has a specific purpose and brings important sets of skills to make each team come together as a whole. At Calvary, our mission is to make disciples for Christ as students pursue their interests in science, technology, engineering, and math by providing them the opportunity to create, problem solve, and collaborate with each other as they prepare for VEX robotics competitions.
Robotics is more than just a club. Currently, we have 4 teams consisting of 20 students. Each team has a driver, at least one programmer, a notebooker, and several fabricators. Within these teams, the students learn to not only fine-tune what they have naturally been gifted with, but to also learn from fellow team members. One of the biggest things that I see among our robotics team is how they meld their unique talents and they share what they love and what they are passionate about with robotics and with other classes.
Our goal is very similar, and that is to create these great opportunities for very talented students and create sort of an access and platform for students to bring their skills and their learning out of the classroom into an exciting and much more real world experience, but really also to position these students to step into a field of influence and to carry their character and their intelligence and a sense of service and their faith into these areas that are really our future.
That's amazing. It sounds like both missions really are just focused on the youth, focused on the students. Sounds like the students on this call, you guys picked the right teams to be a part of because you all are the focus, which I love to hear. Tell us a little, Sasi, with Dublin Robotics. Can you list the top services and curriculum that you provide the students and also educators?
Yeah, sure. And so Dublin Robotics provide educational services to the students from first grade to 12th grade. So basically from 6 years onwards until 18 years, we take the students. And so we primarily provide teaching to robotics, specifically focused to DEX robotics. So it has a 2 platform. One is called DEX IQ. Typically from 1st to 7th grade, they work on the DEX IQ platform, where the robots are made by the plastic parts. And my students, India and Indian, will demonstrate more details about the DEX IQ program later in this session. And from 8th to 12th grade, they work on the next EDR platform where the robots are made by the metals. And my high school students, Arya, will explain about his experience, how he started with the metal robot when he was in 7th grade, how he can move over the period, and now he's participating in the high school division. And so apart from those two, Dublin Robotics also provide teaching for the RECF aerial drone. And so basically that is also one subdivision of the REX. And we teach and drone theoretical aspects, and then the drones building, and then drones competition also. That Ginian will explain a little later his experience about the drone competition. And apart from that, when we were getting to the the pandemic, we wanted to engage through distance learning, and
Yes.
so we get into the mode of develop apart from the bets, we also develop the curriculum with the help of Alex, and then we successfully made our first batch of students, these high schools, where they made a patent, and then they submitted for the USP1. They got a patent on their name for the robotic medical assistant vehicular interface. So, and also we subsequently, register our Dublin Robotics with grants.gov US to get grants from the government entity like a National Institute of Health and Department of Defense. So we registered, and then we vetted everything, and we submitted our first grant to the NIH regarding the medical assistant vehicle. That Alex will touch and then elaborate what has been done last 6 months. That is the new services which we started from Dublin Robotics. And then Vex has introduced now new system called Vex AI, Artificial Intelligence Platform. And so it's a brand new program which combines like high schools and then university students. And Derek is leading in Dublin Robotics. And so he started building and then communicating with the teams, and then developing a strategy now that he will discuss elaborately the XPA portion of which Dublin Robotics.
That is awesome. You guys are busy over there, because not only are you running a team, I mean, you've got all these services that you're providing, these different age groups, and that's exciting. And you mentioned that some of your coaches were going to give a little bit more detail about some of these services.
Exactly, yes. Alex, you wanted to discuss
Sure.
about?
Yeah, I can go first, and since we mentioned that first. So this is something recent, as Asi was saying. The beginning of the pandemic, we were thinking, how can we do something about it in the field that we know best? And so we got a group of our students, a test group, and we started this project that Sasi touched on. It's called RMAVI, which stands for Robotic Medical Assistant Vehicle and Interface. And we got a team of students, and we went through the design process, and the idea was to make this autonomous vehicle that could be used to receive, test, and then transport patients in medical settings. And we went through the entire process. We patented it, and we successfully applied for grants with NIH, as Asi was saying. And we learned a lot through the process, so we decided to make curriculum with what we learned. And now we have two more groups of students that we are teaching virtually, a class on innovation and just intellectual property in general. And it's a kind of a big experiment that we're running, but it's going pretty well, and they're enjoying it. There are a lot of challenges virtually, but it's been a great learning experience. We're touching on other fields, not only in the medical field. Now we're trying sustainability, and we're trying to solve big problems and go through the design process, and hopefully eventually do some CADing and run some simulations and do some interesting stuff that can be done virtually, and engage as many kids as we can.
That's awesome. I was just thinking that, we have this capability virtually now, exactly, where we can engage so many students, many more than, what we initially sought out to. I like to think that this pandemic is sort of that blessing in disguise, where now it's forcing us to be creative. It's forcing us to reach out. It's forcing us to meet new people in this setting like we are now, and share what it is that we're doing. So thank you so much for sharing that. Do you all have any other speakers who want to describe what services that and curriculum that you guys provide?
Yeah, sure. Like Derek will talk about the Vex AI.
Right, so this year I'm actually really excited to be part of the pilot program for Vex AI. And Vex AI is a fully autonomous robotics competition, which is different from the usual high school program that we've had. In that robots, usually there's a 1 minute 45 driver control period with a short autonomous period at the beginning. But this year we're actually going to be participating in Vex AI, which is a fully autonomous competition, which is going to give us like a whole new range of problems and things to work with. We're going to need to work with new sensors, uh, work with new hardware such as 3D printers and CNC routers. And overall, we're just really excited to be a part of this program and see what uh, like new techniques we'll have to put out there in order to compete.
It sounds like you guys are really excited with this new adventure, and I wish you guys all the best of luck in this competition that you guys end up on top with it. Thank you so much for giving me that information. And Sasi, do we have anyone else?
And like either we can go ahead at this stage itself, like my high school and middle school division, or do you want to do it at a later stage? Whichever you are convenient, you can proceed.
I think this would be perfect now to go through that.
Okay, then I will introduce Arya, and then he will explain about his experience in high school division.
Awesome.
So one of the great things about the Vex robotics platform, and specifically compared to other robotics platforms, is that I feel like it's the best balance of where a student themselves can like take ownership and figure out like how to like actually go through the entire design process. You know, like start to finish, like come up with designs, models, build it, and then program it. And it's really it's catered so like even like smaller teams can also do them together compared to like other robotics competitions where it's either like super big scale where you need like 60 people on a team to work together to do like just one thing, or it's super like small scale where it's like not as competitive. So it's like the perfect balance of competitive competition. And I feel Vex also offers like, especially the high school division, it's like it's very competitive. There's teams like all around the world who are competing and building all these like really competitive robots that are going to all try to face it out and win the world championship eventually is the goal. So we see like teams constantly trying to like design the best robot, and that elevates the competition continuously until the very end of the season. So there's always innovation throughout from I think April when the game drops to the next year. We're just all trying to elevate each other's competition and keep on like building the best robots. And one thing that it is that since it's metal, you do have to, it takes a little longer to build. So as a result, you do need to like use different softwares. Like CAD is a great tool to 3D model your robot. And especially now during the pandemic, you can also do it virtually. So I can build one subsystem, another person can build another, and modularly we can design a robot together. And like you basically need to imply all of these different sort of like softwares and all these techniques and all these things that we actually use in the like the real world as well to figure out how to build the best robot possible. And actually, I have one of the robots we built this competition season right here. So this is for the new Vex Robotics game Change Up. We basically have these balls right here. One's blue and one is red. And essentially, if you're on the blue team, you want to score these into like these little baskets. And if you're on the red team, you want to score them into the baskets and take the blue ones out of the baskets. So it's kind of like basketball almost in the sense where you have to like shoot them in, but then you also need to score your opponent's balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this robot actually, a lot of it, well, we actually made parts of it in CAD as well. So like, for example, one thing is that like, whenever you're building small mechanisms like here, where it's like you have a conveyor belt, you really don't want a bunch of like friction to like stop, or like you want it to smoothly flow up and down the conveyor. So using like 3D modeling software is allowing you to get the exact amount of spacing correctly so it flows. That's another really good thing that the Vex platform allows you to do. And it's just a really good experience, and it's a really good community as well. Everyone's trying to help each other, and like there's the Vex forums. There's a ton of YouTube videos. Everyone's trying to like see like what's the best thing they can do to make the robot that best solves the challenge. It's a great platform to be a part of.
That is so awesome. I'm learning so much about what you all, how you all started and how it's continued, and you're not missing a beat is what it sounds like. So that's pretty awesome. Kudos to your team. We're going to circle back around and learn more about Dublin Robotics now. Well, Sasi, this was the last one, just to make sure.
And apart from this VEX, we also conduct the regular classes which runs throughout the year, and then we take the teams for the competitions, and also we run summer camps. During the summer, it's a full time. The kids will join like a 6 hours per day from 9 to 3. Full day camp we run throughout the week. So typically, Dublin Robotics offers 9 weeks of camp, and it's very famous in Dublin area. Like every week, we get around 20 students. Like if you consider like 9 or 10 weeks, so it's easily like like 200, 250 students we train in the summer camp. And apart from that, we also provide some of the services to the big corporations like. In fact, Alex has been to the Workday. It's a big company, and then they called us to demonstrate our capabilities. So Alex and one more coach, they went and demonstrated, and based on that, they conducted the employee, bring their kids to the employer place. So like 500 kids, it's a big company, so they brought all the kids of the employer on single day, and then they engage us to teach and engage in a 1 day in a batches of all the 500 kids. So we did provide such a services, and then also displayed our booths in Oracle also. So that is also another services which we offer specifically for the big corporations where the employers can hire such a clubs and then give the motivations to the young kids who is interested in learning STEM and then robotics area.
And that might be one of the most important things to provide, like have the students have access to these corporations that you're in partnership with. So they have that hands-on, in-person engagement. That's awesome. All right. You guys are busy. You have the clubs, you have the teams, the after-school summer programs. You guys got it all from top to bottom. That is amazing. Thank you so much for explaining that. Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining all of your services and the curriculum that Dublin Robotics provides to your community, to your students. And now, Laura, I'd love to hear some of the services and curriculum that you guys provide your students and educators.
Okay, I'm going to start kind of local and then expand out. I have to say, this is really fun to meet the Dublin team and hear about what all they are doing. And it's so exciting to see sort of the different personality of each team. While we're all working in VEX Robotics, we all sort of have these different personalities that grow up around perhaps our school or our culture. We're a little jealous. You guys are out there in Silicon Valley. I'm sorry, we've got the beaches, but we don't have all the big corporations. We're trying to make those connections. But we're a young club. So we've only been around for about 4 years, and these guys have done incredible things just by getting the club off the ground and getting, kind of making their way in the competitions and making sort of a name for themselves in those places. But we, like Dublin, also have VEX IQ, which means we start in the elementary. And our teams start building there with the VEX IQ programs. They learn programming skills, they learn building, they learn driving. Some of the things that I was so taken with were the soft skills that these kids have to learn. Because the way the VEX promotes their games, it's not just about the new game, which is always very exciting each year, and the design of the robot, that will actually accomplish what needs to be happening. There's a lot of creativity that goes into that, a lot of engineering, believe it or not, a lot of math. We've finally found that application for every kid in the math room who goes, why do I need this? And I'm literally walk into my robot room and see kids with like trig functions working on trajectories going, that's why you need math. And it's really cool to see that happen. Again, the computer programming skills, the CAD, we've had our kids virtually designing robots and putting them together. So it's really neat. You're right. Distance learning has kind of pushed us all into new spaces, and we find out how creative we can be. But they start all this down in the elementary, and they learn teamwork, an incredible amount of teamwork, respect for other people's skills, because they cannot have a team without someone who can drive, without someone who can design, without everybody building and pitching in and giving their ideas. And then you've got to have this incredible person who is a notebooker who will actually record all this and make it kind of this journey, this recorded journey from start to finish. And I find that so valuable, again, just in building those soft skills. And then when they go to competitions, they have to make alliances. So they have to very quickly be put in with another team. The first part of any competition is always random alliances. You could be with anybody. And they have to do this whole teamwork thing all over again. You've got to find out what your robot's strengths are versus the other robot's strengths. You've got to find out what your driver's strengths are, how your strategies fit together. Strategy is a huge part of every game. It's really fun to see as the season goes along. Our students have designed robots for a game that's introduced, but then as the season goes along, the strategy starts getting really intense, and you see other teams play. You see other ideas for how to play the game, and it's really exciting. And just like the students from Dublin said, our kids learn a lot about working with others this way, and also just helping each other with this. And I'll let our kids share some of that too, but and they can share some of their experiences with that. But one of the things that we really prompted this robotics team to really take shape and take off this time, because I've been trying to start a robotics team off and on for about 10 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
different platforms and tried a few things, and it really just hadn't been something that was sustainable. And one of the things that I have found that has really helped us is our school has taken on a curriculum called Project Lead the Way. And I will give them a little plug right here. They're incredible. They are a STEM curriculum that starts in kindergarten and goes all the way continuously through high school. It is a very high level honors-based kind of STEM curriculum. And by the time they get to high school, there's actually 3 tracks. There's a complete computer science track that includes AP classes. There are engineering classes that we've actually aligned with other colleges, and they actually give college credit for these classes because they are taught at such a high level. But even our little elementary kids with this curriculum get a very kind of robust introduction to programming basics when they're little, to design basics, to building and kind of problem solving. And I would say one of the big things that I love about VEX is that it's that experience that brings all of these outside the classroom, puts them into competition, allows these kids to really show off their skills and hone their skills, but it also allows them to fail forward. And I think so many of our young people do not get that opportunity to really stretch themselves and fail forward. And that's one of the things that I love about this project-based curriculum that we have, that also supports our robotics team just in what they're learning in the classroom, walks straight out of the classroom into VEX Robotics, because these curriculum that we offer actually uses VEX in the classroom. So we're doing it both and, in the classroom and outside. But our kids have taken VEX to some interesting places, and I thought I'd let them share a little bit, one, just about some of the things that they have learned or some of the things that they have gone with. I'm not sure if you want to direct this in any way.
Oh yes, no, I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to take a break before we get the kiddos talking, but Laura, this is exciting because, as you said, you guys are our newer team. I mean, it's only up from a year, and I love that we have these two perspectives, right, of these teams. You guys will be able to collaborate, share, learn from each other. And just to clarify, that is that project, that STEM curriculum program, it's called Project of the Way.
Project Lead the Way.
Okay, I heard that completely wrong.
Siemens is also involved with them, National Science Foundation, VEX Robotics, NASA.
Very
nice. A whole bunch of people speak into that. They're out of Indiana, but they use VEX in their curriculum. And then for us, that was a very easy, like when we were trying to decide which robotics platform we went with, it just made VEX very accessible and very doable for a lot of different students.
That is awesome. I'm curious, Sasi, are you familiar with Project Lead the Way, that curriculum?
And I heard about it. I know that a lot of VEX teams are doing that, but we never enter into the PLTW. But several VEX teams are doing so. So I didn't know much about that apart from knowing the name. But some of the points which Laura mentioned, like soft skills, are excellent because of using this, VEX, right? Whether communication skill or presentation skill, pressure handling skill, stress handling. Because when you go competition, you just go and meet. You never met. You form an alliance and you go and make a strategy, and then you try to extract the best out of both the teams. And then you keep moving one team after to another. In a single day, you interact with so many teams. The immense of the knowledge and the communication skills which the kids are developed over the period is enormous. So
I can't agree more with you both. Those soft skills, I mean, you cannot skip over them. You cannot treat them as a lesser skill, if you will. They are the foundation. They are the foundation to students obtaining a career, obtaining a job in the respective STEM fields that they're interested in going in. So I appreciate you guys really value teaching those soft skills along with the technical skills in both of your programs. And now what we're going to do to close out this first section, Dublin Robotics, can you give us your website or any other sites where we are able to contact you all and learn more about Dublin Robotics?
Sure. And our website name is dublinroboticsclub.com. It is a single word. And we have the Twitter page, we have the Facebook page on Dublin Robotics Club, and also we have the Instagram account and also YouTube account. And so our online presence is very much in this area. So when you go and search Google of Dublin Robotics, you will get it, and you will land up any one of the pages that you can learn about us and what services we offer.
And Laura, where can we learn more about the CCA robotics team?
We are featured under our CCA Eagles website, Calvary Christian Academy website, and I can actually send you sort of the link for that. But we also have an Instagram page, which is probably one of our best ways to follow us. And that's at CCA Cyber Eagles. And I would say that's probably the best way to follow us is through our Instagram page.
Most definitely. That's where I found both of you guys.
Right.
We also have a YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
We
go
also
ahead.
have a YouTube channel. Yeah, right, Aiden?
So we post some of our footage of how our bot's doing so we can get our word out there around the world for like alliancing at World and stuff, because if they know you, it's a little easier to do that. So we have a YouTube channel. It's called 77788Y, and that has just footage of our robot throughout different competitions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving me that information. Our viewers are definitely going to be interested in checking out both of your teams. You guys, that was just our first section of this episode featuring Dublin Robotics as well as CCA robotics clubs and teams. Just to review, we discussed some really important foundational information about both of these two teams, some of which we discussed the missions, and both missions were very similar in that the focus is, we're really focused on engaging these students, bringing information, educational materials to these students and really engross you all into these robotics teams and clubs. And we also talked about some of the services and the curriculum that you all provide your students as well as educators, some of which are the new projects that you both are focusing on during this pandemic time, as well as providing virtual classes, the VEX-II, which is a device competition, the other competitions that were mentioned, as well as really focusing on these YouTube videos. I mean, hello, this one's going to be on YouTube. This will be a major resource, right? We also talked about summer camps that Dublin Robotics provides, as well as the importance of collaborations with other corporations for the students to have that in-person engagement, that one-on-one time to really learn what opportunities are out there in their communities. We discussed VEX IQ, which is a program that begins in elementary school where these students will learn robotic skills. And that's where we discuss some of the importance of technical and soft skills. We also talked about the CAD programming, as well as what the CCA Robotics Club curriculum that you all use is Project Lead the Way. That is so awesome. You guys gave us so much information. All of our viewers are going to have these links will be provided below in this YouTube page as well to both of these teams. Dublin Robotics, you can find them at dublinroboticsclub.com, as well as on their Instagram account and their YouTube account. And then CCA Robotics Club, you can find them on their CCA Eagles website and also their IG page, which is at CCA Cyber Eagles. And then they also have this awesome YouTube page that's going to showcase some of their robotics, some of the robots that they're building and everything else that they've got going on. So thanks, you guys. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back, and I want to definitely hear from some of the students. So we'll be right back. Okie dokie. Okay, so we're back. We had a break. Before our break, we spoke with Sasi, who is the coach and lead and CEO of Dublin Robotics, all the way out in Dublin, California. And we also had an opportunity to speak with Laura, who is the STEM department head. And, you know, she's here. She's so awesome. She's such a trooper. She's here in the absence of their coach. We really hope that we'll be able to do this again and speak with the coach as well. But we got a chance to catch up with CCA Eagles Robotics Club. And now I really want to hear from the students, because we got into the mission of each of the clubs. We got into some of the services that the clubs provide. We even shouted out their social media, some of their handles for you all to contact them, which again will be listed below. So now I really want to focus on the subject matters that you all learn while you're in robotics. So, Dublin Robotics team, what are some of these subjects that you learn while you're in robotics, or what are some subjects that you suggest students focus in if they're wanting to have a career in robotics?
Well, I think definitely some of the subjects that at least I'm learning in school currently, and I took last year as well, that really related to robotics was I took calculus and I also took physics last year. And especially physics, well, math and calculus already have like, their relationship. Taking them at the same time it's really great because you can, learn about like acceleration versus like time graphs, and like you can just see like the relations between like derivatives and like the integrals and all that. But then it also applies to robotics in the sense that you learn about these like mechanical principles whenever you're building your like center of gravity, torque versus speed, where you should place your pivot points on your arms, and all of these like small principles that actually are all related together. Once you reach a certain point, you understand that all these concepts are linked together, and it's that moment that you're like that aha moment. It's really it's something really special. So that's one thing I recommend at least.
That's awesome. Any other recommendations from Dublin Robotics, some of the coaches or the students?
I recommend taking some coding classes because coding really helped me to code the robot and everything. And it really helped me in school too as well, like learning all the math functions and everything.
That's awesome. Anyone else?
I recommend taking like an engineering class. At least in my school, we have like an engineering class where we learn how to do like schematics and 3D modeling, like CAD, so then we can do that and model the robot right before we actually build it. We can model it and then start building.
I think these are all great suggestions because there's just a laundry list of courses that you can take, that you have the options to take. But for students who would be watching this episode, who would be interested in getting into robotics, they'll be able to say, hey, okay, let me write down all of these specific classes and focus in on these. All right, Laura, I'd love to hear from some of your students. What are some courses that some of your students are currently taking? And then what courses do you guys telling other students who'd be interested in career in robotics, what courses should they take as well?
We have a really nice range of different skill sets and different focuses on here. So let's see, Josiah, you want to talk a little bit about sort of the classes that really help you with robotics and some of the other ones that you're in the track that you're focused on?
So I'm in the computer science and the engineering track at Calvary. We have 4 years of classes for both. For the computer science track, I actually just took an AP class, AP Computer Science Principles. That's available through the College Board, and that really helped me. I'll also take AP Computer Science A, which is another college level class, and that's like another very helpful class to take for robotics, especially learning object-oriented code, which is all like what programming and robotics is based around. Another thing that helps with programming is calculus. Calculus and programming and just all math in general go hand in hand. So knowing like calculus and algebra and trigonometry, it all really helps as a programmer.
That's awesome. And anyone from the CCA Robotics Club, do you guys think of, can we think of any other classes outside of our STEM classes? Can y'all think of any other classes that you think you're currently taking or that you may possibly want to take that you think could assist in robotics? For example, we hear that anyone who at a young age learns a musical instrument, that helps with your focus, it helps with your creativity, et cetera, et cetera. For example, I played the violin like all my life, and then I stopped after college, and now I can't play, so now I feel dumb. But A little joke there, but yes, I did see my creativity, and it was almost like it was an outlet. I was able to really focus in my other STEM classes. I was the president of the science club in high school, and I saw that all the combination of the classes that I was taking really aided in my success in my field. So I'm wondering, CCA Robotics, you guys think of any other courses that you may want to take, or that you could probably say this may help out as well with robotics?
So last year I took a drawing course, which really helped me in the beginnings of the engineering notebook, because there is a lot of architectural design that goes into it. So this really helped me formulate the ideas of how a drawing can relate to a 3D space, which also can go into the beginnings of CAD drawings. But to go, some of the like STEM-y courses that help a lot are, I have taken both biology and chemistry. So by taking a lab science, it's allowed me to understand how to better explain procedures in order to convey it to different audiences.
That's so important, getting that base, that foundation, right? We have to get that base skill set to really transfer it over to really anything that we want to do. I feel that if we master these specific skills and then we just continuously repeat them, then we'll just be professions at whatever it is that we put our minds to, right, guys? Does anybody else have anything to add with CCA robotics, any other courses?
I don't know if anyone mentioned yet, but CAD, any CAD classes, I mean, they're amazing. They just, like CAD, if you're building a robot, it can take you a whole week. But if you've taken a class, you find all the little shortcuts, and then it will only take you maybe half a week. So just those classes help with the speed and quality of your.
Awesome.
Aiden, you've been in our engineering track too. What are some of the things that you've learned in there that have been helpful along with CAD and some of those other things?
So our engineering, one of the biggest things we use in robotics is gear ratios and mechanical advantage. So one of our engineering classes taught us all about that, and it makes everything click. It makes sense in robotics because you use it in everything. Because you want your chassis to be fast, but you don't want a certain arm to go as fast as the chassis. So you gotta use all those gear ratios and do a lot of calculations for that, which help a lot.
This is awesome. And Dublin Robotics, I'm going to circle back around for some of the students, some of the coaches to answer this question. If you guys want to suggest any other courses, maybe outside of our STEM courses that you think will translate with robotics, we could do that now as well. And Sasi, I don't know if you want to call on
So
who you would like
definitely like a journal writer class, like a general writer. I'm sure the Eagle Robotics or Dublin Robotics or whoever involved in robotics, they know how important the notebook, because that captures every steps from the conceptual designs, from the problem, how these kids are coming up with the ideas, and then they make drawings, and then it's an engineering block. So any kids who started at a younger age, they learn some write-up classes, journal write-up classes, that would definitely help them. And then, as they pointed out, the CAD, any even like a simple art, the drawing, definitely that skill is going to help, because the words, the image speaks volume, right, rather than the words. So any rough sketches, always our kids, they come, they write it in a board, and then they explain, this is how they wanted to build it, right? So that saves a lot of time. And apart from that, even the simple Lego building, right? Like younger age, even the kids which they do in Lego building also play a big part in later stages for them to visualize and get engaged building.
Yeah, and just to quickly piggyback off of that, focusing a lot more on like the English side and like the documentation too. At least in our physics class itself, we have a pretty big stress on like scientific communication. So actually, for our final last year, we did a lab, and the whole like substance of the final was just how you communicate your findings, and a lot of like a lot of things in like the real world too. It's like you can discover something, but you need to be able to communicate and express those in like language that the mass can understand. So English is super huge, and definitely having a really good understanding of like how you can communicate your ideas, as well as being able to use your skills to do robotics, but actually communicate it with others through like YouTube, Instagram, your engineering notebook. That's also a pretty big aspect of the process.
That's so important because you're learning multiple languages. You're learning the language of typing, of, script. You're learning how to verbally communicate, effectively communicate your message. You're learning different languages and coding and, all the different terms that you're learning. And you have to become a professional in communicating. Well, one, you have to become a professional in understanding all those different languages and then streamlining them so that you're an educator, so you know exactly what I'm saying. You have to be able to speak the language of the student, which is most often the student has no idea they're coming in fresh, and you have to give all of your expertise and simplify it. So that is so important, taking those English classes and that communication aspect. So Dublin Robotics, I would like to talk more about these skills. What are the most important skills you think that students will obtain from completing some of your programs?
Like the whole perspective, and then their confidence level and their level of engagement, everything has changed, transformed. I have seen so many students, and typically when they come and join the club, they may not talk, they may not communicate sometimes, I you know, and they were nervous, shy, but I have seen their transformation over the period. Because whether Dublin Robotics or I know Eagle Robotics, anybody, when they go competition, these kids meet so many people, right? So by meeting and discussing and then strategizing, the kind of become the normal for them. And every tournament, these kids have to present their role, and then they have to talk about in the engineering interviews, and then they have to explain about your engineering work. So they learn quite a lot. It shaped them well as a good student, and later on a good employee or employer, or even inventors, or they can be an entrepreneur, right? So there is quite a bit of learning they will do.
That's so great. And I agree. I think all of those skills are so important, especially, isn't it great when you see that student coming in that's pretty much mute, and then all of a sudden they're just talking away, communicating, they're in their groups, on their teams, they're just on fire for their robotics team. That's got to be so rewarding. So I think that's a huge skill set in seeing that increase in engagement. Is there a actually, I would like to hear from one of your coaches. It's either Alex or Derek.
Yeah, Alex.
Whichever one.
Alex, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So what Sasi was touching on was is just massive, the transformation that we see on the kids. But on the other side, we also one of the main skills is just problem solving. The whole idea of the VEX challenge is that there is a game every year that is released. It's a challenge in the form of a game. And so what we want our students is to be excited about challenges. And that can be seen every season when we get the game elements. We get our students extremely motivated, and they stay up all night and just thinking and brainstorming. And so that excitement is what we're looking for. Yeah, that is a big one. What else can I think of? So this is in general. Sorry, the question was about.
Yeah, whatever. I think you nailed it, honestly. The problem solving. We were talking about skills. You can just list them, any skills that you think that students receive after going through any of your programs or curriculum.
Right. Yeah. So the problem solving is just the main one.
Mhm.
Yeah, we want them to feel empowered, right? Feel excited about it, and to see the possibilities when they come in and when they start building. And they, I think in general, they see that eventually automation is just going to hit every industry around us. And so uh, they, we want them to feel like they can be part of the revolution. And yeah, uh, that is the way we're set up actually in the club. They can come in and spend as much time as they want. There's no that we have a one lesson, one class where they come and they need to go in an hour. We have very long hours, and they can come for the entire time and just spend as much time as they want. Yeah, so that is the way we think about it.
You want them to feel a part of the revolution. That is a quote. You guys
Well,
write it down.
that's kind of in their own words. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. And that's important too. You want all the students, whatever level you're coming in at as well, to go with you on this journey and not feel left behind or left out. So I love that. All right. So Laura with CCA Robotics Club, if you can list some of the most important skills the students will obtain from completing any program that the robotics club has, or just going through or becoming a member of the robotics club, robotics team.
Again, you're going to hear a lot of the same ones that Dublin articulated so well. I would say the teamwork is huge, honoring others' skill sets, because you have to have people who are good at a lot of different things, but you always have people who kind of excel in an area, and allowing each person to kind of grow in that area, but then coming together as a whole and being a team, and seeing how all of those work together well. We see a lot of sort of, I guess I would also say, just kind of like iron sharpens iron. I will see one of my programmers come up with a really elegant kind of solution for something, and my other programmers on other teams will be challenged by that. And again, it's kind of that like trying to outdo each other. And yet it's such a positive thing, because they really are working with each other, but they're also trying to be the best at what they do. And I love that atmosphere in the room when we're all working. We see a lot of mentorship too. There's some really great mentorship going on. We, the guys who started this club about 4 years ago really self-started it. They just were driven, and they mentored the younger students into these programs. It wasn't me. It wasn't even the coach that we had then. We didn't, like I said, I'm a big fangirl, but I am not, an expert programmer. I understand the principles, the designs, and a lot of the skills, but these guys are the ones who are doing it. I think that's another thing that I've really seen. These kids transfer skills so well from one area to another. I'll let Aiden and Parker talk about that in a minute. But the ability to take what you've learned in the math room, the physics room, from other things that you do, and then transfer them. I laugh all the time about kids when I'm just teaching them science. Sometimes they have a hard time walking their math skills across the hall to the science room. And they're like, wait, did we learn that in science, or did we learn that in math? I don't know how these two things go together. And this makes all of it very real. And there's great transference that happens. And I also see them be really incredible, what should I say, just lifetime learners. They go after the information because they really surpass us every day in what they know, but they're always out there seeking it. So they have, at a very young age, have captured and really pursued that idea of kind of teaching themselves, seeking out their own information. That comes with problem solving. You have to find your own information if you're solving a problem that you've never seen before. But they've embraced it, and it's not something we make them do. It is a how they learn and how they pursue information, which is really incredible. But I'll let the kids talk a little bit about some of their own things that they do. Kristen has a unique perspective too of something we've done with our team. But Aiden and Parker also have had great transfer of skills from another area. So, Aiden?
So before we came to Calvary or like knew anything about robotics or STEM field, Parker and I and another teammate of ours, which he's really good too. He's awesome. But we all started with RC cars and driving those all around. When they break, we fix them, figure out what's wrong with them, see how to make it better, and then we can drive them and test them. So that transferred over to robotics really well. And the driving skill, learning how to just get your hands used to working and mechanical, putting things together, and that just transferred really well. And yeah,
and also the programs are great for, like, we went from knowing almost nothing to where we are now. So like when I first started, I started in the VEX IQ program, and it was really great because I learned the basics of the engineering process and how to document and program and design and build and drive and all of that. And then I kind of learned what my skill set was and what I was better at. And then I came up to the EDR, and they kind of just took me in and they helped me and taught me all the things about EDR. And then from there.
Yeah, the huge thing is community. Like the community in VEX is amazing. Like everyone's trying to help each other out. And like you can talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, we tried that didn't work too well, try this. And it's just a huge community. I
think one of the most intriguing skills that we talked about was what Laura just mentioned, which was that mentorship. And we have Aiden that's Kristen? No, wait, Josiah? Which one are you? I'm sorry.
No. Oh, his brother?
Yes, his brother.
Okay, that's Parker.
That's Parker. We have Aiden and Parker. Okay, I'm like these little the pop-ups on the screen when people are talking, they're definitely helping me with my cheat sheet. But then I'm like, Parker doesn't have one that's popping up.
That's Parker. Yeah.
Parker and Aiden. Okay. So one of the most interesting skills that we just discussed is that mentorship component that Laura mentioned. And you guys are brothers, so I can only imagine, Aiden, you've got to be mentoring your little brother Parker. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, whenever he has questions or anything, he comes up to me and I help him out as much as I can. And we work together a lot. Like on weekends, we'll take the bots home and we'll spend hours together just working away, helping each other out.
And Parker, you're thinking like, well, actually, I mentor Aiden. That's really what's going on. Because that's what I think too with my older siblings. I'm like, I'm the mentor. That's awesome. I think that's so important. And it's cool that you guys have that to share, especially during this pandemic. You keep your mind active, you keep your body active, really solving these problems and just having a lot of fun doing it. So that's really cool. Okay. So I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to, in that same vein, and just because we're talking about that, if I was going to let Kristen share something that we have started as a school, we did it last year. We've taken a trip that we do every year with our juniors. It is a service and missions trips to Mexico. And I was going to let Kristen, and then Aiden was also on this. A bunch of our kids on the robotics team went last year. It was their typical kind of like junior class experience, but we did something very different with the robotics team. And I was going to let Kristen share about that because it goes along with the same lines of mentorship and service. So.
That's awesome. Yes.
So our team in the past couple years has definitely been very student run, not just our team, but the organization as a whole. So because of this, it has allowed us to build up those leadership skills, which we were able to take to Mexico. And me, as well as one of our former teammates, we had these like small like robot kits that we would bring, and we would try to teach the American schools down there all about robotics and the design process, and like what this can mean in the future for career wise, or just something fun to play with, because robots are just fun in general. So we had that great opportunity back in January to bring the robotics community down to Mexico.
That is exciting. I would love to, if you guys have any footage of that, you can send it over. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that, Kristen. And you guys, that was awesome. We just went through a lot of information regarding the subjects that the students are currently taking, or that they suggest other students take if they're interested in pursuing a career in robotics. And then we also talked about the skills that you guys are currently learning. So some of the subjects you all have suggested to take are calculus, physics, coding, engineering, computer science, algebra, drawing, which will help with the architectural design portion, biology, chemistry, and any CAD classes, Lego building, and English, which I love this. It definitely helps with the scientific communication, as you all mentioned. And overall, these subjects help with learning about the mechanical principles. I believe that was Aria that said that. I'm making note of all you guys' cool quotes that I can completely steal. And then and then we talked about the skills you guys are learning. You guys are learning how to increase your level of engagement. I mean, I think that's amazing. And communication. You're also learning skills of strategizing, how to strategize, how to present yourself to employers, problem solving skills, teamwork building skills, where you learn how to honor others. I think that is really important. Mentorship, the ability to transfer skills, and some of these driving skills that we're discussing. You guys, that's a lot of information. How do you guys feel? Like, that's a lot that you're taking in. I think that's amazing. And we're going to come back and go a little bit deeper with some of the students. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back with the ACP Automation Adventure with Dublin Robotics, as well as CCA Robotics Club and teams. We have just been on a roll discussing their missions, discussing the different subject matters that the students are currently learning, and the skills that they are acquiring as they are taking these programs and graduating from the different curriculum programs. What I'd like to discuss now is really the career pathway element of robotics. You know, what does that look like? I may be interested in robotics and I'm a part of this team, I'm a part of this club, but what does that look like for a career where I can get paid? Okay. I know it's not about that only, but hey, why not? I mean, we do what we love and we also want to get paid for it, right? Make a career out of it. So I want to start with Sasi with the Dublin Robotics team, or Dublin Robotics Club. And I'd love for you to just list some of the careers that are available in robotics.
Sure. As we know, we are in the fourth industrial revolutions, like after the agriculture, after the industry, automobile, and then IT revolution. We are right in the midst of artificial intelligence, robotics revolution, and these technologies on Internet of Things going to change totally how we live, how we communicate, how we travel, how we do work. everything is going to be changed, and there is going to be a plenty of job opportunities and high-paying careers and jobs and entrepreneurial area. Everything is going to open up. Because right from what we have in the Siri or Alexa, from the Amazon or an iPhone, from that, the robotics going to be used for like security system and the home security, or like what we saw in a Tesla, like using the GPS and then do the autonomous car, right? So already we started seeing those changes in our job opportunities in our career, and this is going to enhance and develop further. And robotics, like underwater robotics, like we export a lot of things in that space, and then similarly there is a lot of natural resources available in the underwater. So there is an underwater robotics, and so it's going to be a lot more career opportunities and then job opportunities, and then the kids can go and invent a lot of things. Like especially if you look at California right now, we are facing a lot of for wildfire, right? So we can be able to find some better mechanisms, because humans cannot go and shut off those fires because of the high temperature and other things. We may use current robotics technology, to mitigate some of the risk what we see, and then solve that problem, right? This is one of the examples. And similarly, in the agriculture, where we use so much of labor which we are using for picking the tomatoes or cabbages, we can automate quite a lot in that. So the robot is going to touch quite a lot in our job opportunities. And in terms of the mentorship, which I just wanted to bring back some points which we discussed in previous session, and then I like to give some opportunity for Louis to talk direct, because he is a uniquely positioned in the group that he also a student before. He played as a robotics student 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and then he elevated to a mentor. So I just wanted to give his side of the story, since Laura brought that mentorship.
Thank you. And you said you would like for whom to answer the question?
Derek to talk about some mentorship of his experience.
Right. So one of the things that is really kind of unique about the robotics field is that you can really apply it anywhere. So as I said earlier, right now I'm a college student and I've had a lot of opportunities to talk to and network with like different employers. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to see how many different fields robotics really applies to. Like there's constantly companies looking for like applicants in the like automotive field, medical field, aerospace. And robotics is just something that is really useful in every field, especially as like the world in general shifts more towards automation and technology.
That is so key, right? Robotics, the transferable skills that you all are learning, I mean, you'll be able to be pretty much competitive in any field that you all choose to go in. And I think that that is unbeatable. That's pretty exciting to say that you guys are learning such a wide span of skills that will cover pretty much any industry. And that's really amazing. Derek, what you mentioned that you've had opportunities, to engage with employers, whether it's local or national or internationally. I'm wondering, how does your program connect your students with employment opportunities, if they're similar to the ones that you've been connected and introduced to?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, our program mostly focuses on actually preparing the students for positions in these jobs. So by doing robotics here, they'll learn a lot of the skills that are useful for their future. And it sort of gives them a head start to a lot of skills that they'd be expected to learn in college. Let's say maybe you're a first year in college looking for an internship opportunity, but maybe you haven't had the chance to take all these like college level courses that teach you about robotics, that teach you about CAD and coding. And if you've had experiences here where you've done robotics and had to apply these skills, you already put yourself like way far ahead compared to some of the other applicants that you would be going against.
That's got to feel great as well when you get to that time when you're ready to apply. You're prepared, right? You feel overly prepared, where, I mean, it's just, you're going to knock the ball out of the park. It's just going to be a no brainer. That's awesome. And anyone else from Dublin Robotics who'd like to describe how you all connect students with employment opportunities?
Alex, do you like to talk about the healthcare robots, companions?
Sure, yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So in the example of the, I want to focus on the network that we have. So for the example that we were talking earlier, the Armavi, the robotic vehicle that was in the medical field, we are pretty fortunate to have a pretty broad network of professionals. So the students, their parents usually work in this type of fields, and so they're always willing to help. And they usually work in IT or medical fields, and we have this big community that we can tap into for this type of things. And what else in terms of employment opportunities, as we were mentioning earlier, I think that the opportunity is everywhere. Every other major tech company has its robotic division, like Sasi was saying. Amazon and Facebook, every other major company has its division in robotics. And even though right now many of the opportunities are in research, I think, and I'm confident that many more opportunities will open up. And so we are setting the kids up for success with the skills that we were talking earlier. And as Derek was saying, so you have an edge when you're recruiting, even if we're not directly connecting them with employers, but the growth mindset and being hands-on and just the system thinking that we teach, and the programming mindset, and also the coaching and the willingness to teach, they're all useful in the robotics field and in other fields as well.
I think that's important, just getting these students, like you said, the growth mindset. I mean, ultimately, you can present a student in front of an employer who's just not ready. So to focus, like you all are doing, on really making sure that your students are prepared and ready for that opportunity once it comes, I think you can't beat that. That's one of the most important things that the students really should be focusing on anyways at that stage, at the level that you guys are at. So thank you guys for sharing that information with me. Laura, I would love to talk with you about how Calvary Christian Academy, your robotics team, provides and connects students with employment opportunities.
Again, much like what Dublin said, so much of this is about putting these kids in a place where they're not just exposed to it, but they're very well prepared in these areas. They have not just done some assignments in CAD, they've actually been creative and designed and problem solved in CAD. They have not just, built a little model of something. They have had to build and engineer something that has to drive and has to sustain these competitions, and then they have to redesign it, and then they have to perfect it if it's not doing the job that it's supposed to be doing well. So again, I think a lot of times in education, especially up to the high school level, students get introduced to things and they don't really get a chance to master them or really deepen their skill set in that. And I think robotics does that incredibly well. I love what Alex said at the end, that there is just in this community, because these skills are fairly new, emerging skills, and because they're constantly changing skills, there is just this idea that you are supposed to mentor and you are supposed to teach, and you are supposed to carry these into, you know, the younger generations or into other people who need the skill set. Oftentimes it is the older generation. Perhaps you have a successful company, but they need more automation, or they need more programming, or they have things that they're missing out in the marketplace because they don't have people who are well versed in these skills. And I think that's really, you know, just kind of a great way to see these students really expand and know that they are valuable in the marketplace because they do have them. We have students who have worked in a lot of different fields, like in summer jobs that have parlayed into, you know, careers. We have kids that have worked in biomedical fields. We have 2 students right now who are just tearing it up in biomedical fields up in the Northeast, in biomedical engineering and research in nanotechnology, that, you know, have come out of our programs, which are really exciting. And we work very closely with medical research and surgical group that is close to our campus, and they do, you know, everything from like how image scanning is being promoted and kind of advancing in technology, but also watching the engineering and design process for prosthetic hips and joints and different bones and things like that. So we have our kids working with them, and it's very much engineering, but it's also biomedical engineering. I was going to let some of our kids share in different ways that they have kind of experienced this transference of skills, or where they're looking to go with their careers and how those opportunities have happened.
Laura, so you get your students where they need to be with these skill sets, and then what do you all discuss in your classroom as some of the career opportunities that are available in robotics?
Okay. Well, I would say, again, almost every industry has them, because we have aerospace is really big. We have an airport right across the street from us. So that's one of the, yeah, it's really cool. And we've been trying to kind of keep, you know, kind of tapping into them, and then we'll do programs with them. We have and I'm going to steal a little bit of Aiden's thunder. He was going to talk about this, but we have a program with our seniors when they work on their senior project, and some of our projects, like the coding project, the computer science senior coding project, capstone project, literally came straight out of robotics experience. But these kids actually do their capstone project in kind of community, what I would say in community, with professionals speaking into it. And then we have professionals come to their final presentation. That means engineers, architects, computer scientists in our community come and actually see their presentation at the end of the year and give them feedback and critique. And we've had patents come out of this. It's just been incredible. And so much of what our kids do in robotics transfer into that. Aiden is very interested in a career. Aiden, you want to pipe into that? Well, I'll let you talk about that too, but the automotive industry is huge. Again, I think because of some of the other tracks that we have at our school, biomedical industry is huge. Space, obviously. I mean, who didn't watch the Dragon touchdown? I mean, Elon Musk is blazing the way there. So we all have hope that anybody can do space if they want to. But those are all things that we talk about and we look at. And then like we said, we've got kids who love to teach and love to mentor and love to, you know, provide services for others. We have a prosthetic company that's also across the street in our biomedical thing, and that's incredible engineering.
That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing those pieces of information. Okay, so what I want to do is wrap up this amazing episode that we've had with Dublin Robotics and the Calvary Christian Academy Robotics Club and team. And I really just want to know what you guys, the coaches and the students, what are you guys' future goals? What STEM career are you focused on pursuing? And then what are you doing to prepare for a career in that particular STEM field? And I'll start with Sasi. If you just want to call out your students and your coaches in whatever order, and they'll just briefly give an answer for that question.
Sure. I will explain from the Dublin Robotics point of view what is our plan, and then I just let the coaches and students what's their career plan on that. So from the Dublin perspective, we started as a education institutions robotics from first grade to 12th grade that we accomplished, and then we started at drones, and then now we started patent and then grants. So ideally, we wanted to have in Northern California as a good research-oriented, hands-on development club, not just learn and build and then code and copy. We also spend work with the government agencies and get some grants to NASA or NIH, and then really make some models and then help real world problem. As a extension of from the educations to solving the problem. That is my vision and plan for next few years. I just let Alex to talk about his plan.
Yeah, so my plan, I'm currently studying business, and I want to get into something that brings business and robotics and STEM together. So I love to, I've been exploring the startup field, and I've directly talked to many startups in the robotics space. And I'm also interested in consulting and technology. So I know that Siemens, you were mentioning your company that you're partnered with. They have management consulting that is focused on high tech and automation and all those type of fun stuff. So what I'm doing together is I'm just learning everything I can. I try to keep up with the latest trends, and I try to share my findings with our students, and just enjoy the process.
Thank you. That's great.
Derek?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm currently studying mechanical engineering, and I'm actually concentrating in mechatronics, which is basically robotics. So as far as my future goes, I hope to work in a robotics company. And one of the ways that I've been preparing myself for this is to constantly be engaging myself in sort of hobbies and activities that are relevant. So even though I've been doing robotics basically my whole life, there's still so much out there to be learned. So right now I'm currently getting into new hobbies such as 3D printing and combat robotics. And all that has allowed me to learn new skills that I might have not been able to learn in like a traditional classroom or lecture kind of environment.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing.
Arya?
So my goals for the future is to eventually complete my high school education and then move on to my higher level of studies in some university or college that offers like a robotics engineering that's actually becoming like a degree itself on its own now. I'm pretty sure like All In offers it, and a bunch of other Purdue I think also offers a robotics degree. So that's definitely something I'm really interested in, and to set myself up for to go there and pursue even more knowledge, and then eventually get a job in the industry in Silicon Valley or somewhere. I've been working again with robotics and then mentoring students, but then I'm also working on the ARMAVI project as mentioned before, trying to work on that patent and see if we can actually make that into a product. And then I'm also actually working on a book about X robotics right now. So kind of that communication of scientific communication. I've been working on that, and I'm almost done with it actually. So hopefully by the end of this year, I can publish on the Amazon bookstore. And more teams can also learn and kind of use that to continue their education. Yeah.
That's exciting. Congrats. And please keep us updated. Make sure Saucy knows to let us know when you do publish that. That sounds awesome.
Sounds good.
And Inia?
So I'm still young now, so I'm not sure what I want to go into, but I am sure that I want to go into robotics because I'm very interested in this field. And for now, I just want to finish middle school and high school and get good grades.
That sounds so good. Man, that was all I wanted to. Let me just please get good grades, please. I love it. That's so wonderful. I think that it's important that you have that moment where you say, this is what I like. And for now, I'm going to focus on this. And I know what I need to do to set myself up for success. So all jokes aside, make sure you definitely get those good grades. And I think we'll be talking with you in the future. We'll be seeing some big things from you. So thank you so much for sharing.
And Inia?
I want to pursue something about engineering and robotics, like more on the medical side, like making robots that can help surgeons do their work easier. And also, I'm also really into coding, so I want to learn about computer science. And I've been trying to take as many classes in engineering and computer science.
That is so exciting. So important. The work that you all are doing is so important. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's it with Dublin Robotics, and we're going to transition over to CCA Robotics team. And Laura, if you want to, in any particular order, just call on your students. And the question again is, where are you guys? What are your future plans for your career? What sort of STEM career are you pursuing? And then what steps are you taking to prepare for that career?
Okay, I think I'm going to start with Josiah. Sounds great.
Right now, I'm planning on doing something along the lines of computer science in my future. I'm currently taking a class and studying web development using HTML, CSS, and Java, and that's really like captivated my attention. I really enjoy doing stuff like that. So in the future, I could see myself working at a company or launching a project or something along the lines of working on some big project with involving computer science, like an application or software of some kind.
I'm like, man, I'm thinking of a million things I need you for right now.
Great thing is you probably could do it.
I'm telling you, I'm like, can we? I'm going to have to talk to my team because the stress level that I almost felt get weight lifted off of my shoulders. No, that's amazing. Good luck with that. Thank you for sharing.
Kristen, how about you?
So I plan on going into genetic research. So a way that robotics will really help with this is for tests like PCR and the ELISA tests. If we can figure out a way to automate those, the level of genetic research will go so much faster than it is right now. And the studies in genetics will allow us to help prevent like genetic diseases that pass through generations.
That's amazing. I'm just curious, where did that passion stem from?
So I just constantly like to try the hardest things all at once. As anyone who knows me will tell you, I'm constantly busy and never have a free moment. So I have taken biology, chemistry, and all those things at the same time. So in my brain, they all kind of merged. And I've also taken the biomedical courses at CCA, which has allowed us to actually do a smaller scale of these PCR tests and ELISA tests, which have allowed us to manipulate one piece of a genome to, like last year, we looked how certain parts of the genome can affect, I believe it was skin cancer, and to see how either it can be prevented or some people are carriers, or if some people have two of the genes, it'll cause different variations, which will make them more genetically inclined to get skin cancer. So just all of that combined has just brought up this is what I want to study and this is what I really want to go into.
Yeah, I definitely see and feel your energy and your passions, and good luck with that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Aiden and Parker.
All right, so I don't really know exactly what I want to go into, but one thing I've been looking into recently a lot is racing, like a race team, because the more I look at it, the more I realize it's exactly like robotics. You work as a complete team as a whole, and there's different parts that work together, and you build and design a race car, and then the driver goes and races it. And so the whole team fails together. And I just really want to have a career where there's competition, and like I love competition. That's why I love robotics. And I'm thinking about going to racing. But something that I've actually already started to like work on towards like robotics and learning stuff is I've had the opportunity to work for my dad, who's in the construction business. He takes the scratches out of glass and high rises, and he's just started working with an engineering company designing an automated machine that it takes what we do and automates all the polishing itself. So I've got to work with those engineers building that machine.
How cool is that? I know you were excited to be a part of that. Wow. Well, I have to say this, Aiden, you already have like this cool, you've got your Vex, what does that say? Is this like your jacket says Vex Worlds
Vex Worlds
2019?
2019, yeah.
Is that because you
That
guys
was
were
the World
champions?
No, we just made it to Worlds.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, that means you're still a champion. How about that? Yeah, you already look like you're ready, man. You look like you're ready to be on the racetrack. You know, you've got your hat, you got your cool jacket. I mean, I'm rooting for you. And you know what that means? You have to be absolutely perfect. And I think you're already on the right track. So thanks so much for sharing. What about you, Parker? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, so I don't exactly know what I'm particularly want to go into, but I am very interested in aviation. So whether that is like aerospace engineer or just being a pilot in general or anything to do with aviation. And yeah, I'm just trying to take any engineering courses and math courses and all that stuff because it all goes into working on the plane or even flying the plane. You need all of that. And yeah.
That's great. And then what else would you say you're like preparing yourself for, like for this class? Are you doing like what I do? I've substituted YouTube for my cable TV. Anything I want to really focus in on, I really go to YouTube. So are you a YouTuber now like me?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always on YouTube looking up stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm also working with my engineering teacher because we're trying to get a commercial pilot to come in, and we're going to try to start an aviation club for all the kids that want to do with aviation. And we're just going to, yeah.
That's so awesome.
You
Thank
also
you guys. Yeah, say it again, Aiden.
Oh, I do also have a simulator that I can fly planes in to actually learn how to fly planes and do that. So.
Oh yeah, that's definitely preparing you for you know, if anything, it's piquing that interest even further. So that is exciting. Thank you guys for sharing. Anybody else? I know we're missing somebody.
I think we got ours.
We've got everybody. Okay. Wow. Well, guys, good luck on all of your future plans, your endeavors. Just know that even if your plans change, I mean, my goodness, you guys are just so prepared that you can truly just cross over to any field, as we discussed earlier. Some of the things that we talked about in this segment were about the career opportunities. I mean, it's endless, right? the tools and the skills that you guys are learning are going to just be useful across pretty much every industry. IT, artificial intelligence, home security, programming, GPS systems is one specific example. Automation and aerospace, the medical field. I mean, the list goes on. Some of the fields that we were discussing. And then we started talking about how Dublin Robotics as well as CCA Robotics connects you all and some of your classmates, some of your team members to employers. And I think the key that we learned is that you all are focusing on preparing your students, really making sure that you all master the skills so that when you guys have that opportunity to go in front of these employers, I mean, you're going to nail it. I mean, it's going to just be a regular conversation like how we've had today. You won't even have a sweat on your brow. And then we talked about in that same breath that you guys are also, some of you are taking these college level courses. That definitely prepares you for that moment when you are in front of employers. You guys, your teams have relationships with the medical research and medical group is what the CCA robotics team specifically stated, and other companies as well that the Dublin Robotics team has also mentioned. And then last but not least in this section, coaching, as well as focusing on these hands-on, really building out these designs and focusing on engineering these projects that you guys are focused on. And last but not least, we talked about, well, how are we preparing ourselves? What's advice that we can give K through 12 students in order to prepare themselves for the STEM careers you guys may be interested, or some of our listeners? And you guys provided some great tips, some of which are bringing the business and STEM together. That was awesome. That was Alex. Alex, you gave us that perspective. I think that that is such an important collaboration to bring to the STEM field. And then also keeping up with the latest trends, immersing ourselves into new hobbies and learning new skills that we wouldn't normally learn while we're inside necessarily the actual clubs that we're in. And then working and immersing ourselves in different projects. And I think the biggest one is what Inya said, which is, guys, just keep making good grades, graduate, okay? Please focus on those two foundations. And I think you guys are going to be all right. Sasi and Laura and all of the coaches and students, the Y team, the H team, and then the 3 students with the Dublin Robotics. Thank you guys so much. I cannot thank you enough. I'm looking forward to actually working with some of you students in the future. Another thing that we have with a Step in STEM, our program, is our student success stories. So I'll be working with Saucy as well as Laura to get some of you guys' stories and do some features. And we'll figure out how we can continue this collaboration in the future. But for now, good luck, graduate, make good grades, right? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Candace.